My name's Jared Reston. I'm a police officer in Jacksonville, Florida, which is the northeast corner of Florida. I've been there since 2000. I started in the courthouse, worked patrol, worked task force, then got on the SWAT team. And in between there, SWAT team in 2004. We're a full-time SWAT team. I've been there ever since. I am their lead firearms and CQB instructor. Jacksonville's the murder capital of Florida now. So we're very violent, we're very active, and we do things. So I've seen and done a lot of stuff that has to do with violence. I myself have been involved in 4 shootings where I was the shooter, and I've been around a total of 15 with someone shooting around me or shooting at us. So we're going to talk a lot about mindset and things like that. And I'm not going to talk about things that, I read in a book or I heard or anything like that. This is going to be what I felt, what I did, what my friends have done, what I've talked to. This is out of the mouths of babes, and I'm going to tell you the real side of it. I was working off duty at a local mall in Jacksonville. Are everyone familiar with working off duty? So it's full police powers, full police uniform, but you're kind of working for a private business who pays you and also pays the city. So we were working off duty. We were notified of a shoplifter. One suspect fought, the other suspect ran off. We chased the one that ran. By the time we caught up to him, I caught up to him. It was a physical fight and then ended in a gunfight where I was struck 7 times with a .45. First one entered right here underneath my jaw, exited out my neck, 3 across my body armor, 1 right above my left knee, exited out high on my thigh, 1 in my right buttock. It went in, hit my hip, broke my hip and lodged there, and then a furrow right through my right elbow. And then I was able to return fire, killing him. So how the call came in, like I said, I was working off duty, so I was trying to do the least amount of work possible and still get paid for it. So I was sitting in the mall security office with my feet up on a desk, talking to my wife on the phone, and just sitting there with my partner and just some security officers just watching cameras and things. Belk's Loss Prevention comes over the radio and says, hey, we're going to be stopping 2 shoplifters exiting out of the south side of the mall. Mall security office is on the north side, so we wouldn't make it. So we said, all right, we'll bring it up on camera and we'll watch the apprehension. So we bring it up on cameras. A white male and a black male exit the store. Loss prevention exits right behind them. You can see them identify themselves as loss prevention, and the white male begins to fight them right from the get-go. At that point, tell my wife I got to go. I hang up. Me and my partner get up and we run to try to get over there to see if we can help. By the time we get there, the white male's already in handcuffs and they're escorting him back to the building. We stop, make sure everybody's okay. They say, yeah, everybody's fine. But the black male also stole something and we would like him apprehended. And I'm like, all right, well, while we're talking, trying to figure out where he's at, there's a bus stop about 75 yards across a parking lot. And it's a pretty big bus stop. It's like the main bus stop for the mall. The suspect has separated himself, trying to watch what happened with his friends, looking back at us. Loss prevention points and says, there he is right there. I look, I see him. He's got about a 75-yard head start. I see him, he sees me, the aha moment, boom, he takes off running. Me and my partner give chase. This is the suspect here. His name was Joel Abner. He was 18 at the time of the incident. He's 5'11", 205 pounds. He had an athletic build. He was strong. But he wasn't ripped up muscle. I compare him to a high school middle linebacker or a fullback or something. He had 1 prior arrest for trespass. It was a pretty weak arrest. Him and some friends went into a neighborhood that was under construction, and they went in after they turned the power on at a house that's under construction and threw a keg party. Not a big deal at all. Probably something that all of us in this room have been to, something like that. So he's not a hardened criminal. It wasn't like that at all. His mother's a banker. His dad's prior law enforcement. He just wanted to be a thug. His mother said he wasn't raised like that, and she apologized to me. I mean, she's a great woman, but I put that up here because it's not always the gang members, the wanted, armed, and dangerous. It's anybody at any time can reach out and bite you. You don't know what's going through these people's mind when you're making contact with them. So don't let the crime you're responding to dictate what level of safety you're going to put yourself into. This was a shoplifter, an easy day that turned into an attempted murder on me. So don't go to these calls. And I know we can sit there and you've heard it a billion times, but complacency kills. This is the Belks here. This is where they came out, and they're about right here. This is the bus stop here. Me and my partner came out of a corridor here and met here. When he took off running, he ran across here. That's Arlington Expressway. It is a 6-lane highway. And this happened about 7:40 at night, so we had to do a little bit of Frogger to get across there. Me and my partner came across the parking lot. Well, the suspect ran across the front sidewalk here, and it ended right there, like in the northeast corner. It looks like a pond, but it looks like a field. It's actually a retention pond that's dry. It's about 4 feet deep, like a 25-yard circumference. My partner that night at the mall is my partner when we got hired. He was my partner all through the streets. We work together now. He's my best friend. But he is a joker who has a huge barrel chest, no neck, can bench press Mack trucks, and has a 40-yard sprint. That's all he's got. And so our tactic that we've had like all through our career was I would run, he would keep us he'd jog and keep us in sight and bring the troops to us. And that tactic bit us in the butt that night. So as we were running, the suspect was kind of running along the front sidewalk of this shopping center, and I'm coming through the parking lot. Right before he rounded this corner, I saw his legs kind of buckle and shake like that. So I knew he had that lactic acid built up, and I was like, boom, got him. Easy day. Talked to my partner and said, hey, I'm going to run up there and get him. So I picked up the speed and ran. Well, he rounded this corner, and as he rounded the corner, he started walking on this sidewalk. I don't know if that's because he was trying to act nonchalant to this traffic or he was tired. I don't know, but he started just really walking. So I get to the corner, I draw my taser, pull it out, come around the corner, put the dot on his chest, tell him to stop or I'm going to tase him. That he's now messing with the police. He's not dealing with mall security anymore. We need to walk back to the mall and get this whole thing handled. He turns around and looks at me and he puts his hands up and then just starts backpedaling. Doesn't say a word, and then boom, turns off running again. I had enough of it, so right around in this area, as soon as we got on this grass, I put that red dot on his back and squeezed the trigger. Held it there for what seemed like an eternity, and nothing happened. No discharge, no pop, no missing of the darts, nothing. I look down at my taser, and my LED readout on the back is just counting down. So as it's happening, we're starting to get into this area, and I'm closing the gap on him. He's tired. I'm getting closer to him. So I have to safe the taser, holster it, secure it, and then I went hands-on with him right here in that corner. When I caught up to him, he was wearing a black hooded zip-up sweatshirt. My plan was I was going to reach out, grab him by the hood, pull him back to the ground. We were going to go to the ground, and I was going to take him into custody down there. When I put my hand out and grabbed his hood, he spun high with his right arm, broke my grip and came to rest just like this. His chin was tucked and his hands were covering his face, which tells you what? It's a fight, right? And that doesn't bother me because I like to fight. Okay, good. So immediately grabbed him by the back of the head and I came in and I was headbutting him and elbow striking and knee striking, still trying to get to the ground. Well, seconds into that fight, he produced this pistol from somewhere on his body. I don't know where exactly he had it. I didn't recognize any signs that he was armed when we were in a foot pursuit. It's a Glock 21. It was a .45 caliber. He fired 12 rounds that night of 230 grain full metal jackets. This gun got stolen in a burglary to a gun store in 1993. So he was 4 years old when this went into the hands of criminals. Do I think he had any part of the original crime? No. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but illegal guns are out there. They're always going to be out there. It is more violent today than it was even when I came on. We had, the time in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s when crack hit. That was a super violent time. And then we had a lull for a long time. We're getting back to violence and we're getting back to guns. Youth today aren't scared to pull triggers on you. They're not scared to do anything. We are losing, we're not getting the respect as law enforcement from others that we used to get. So our death toll is going to continue to rise with guns. But what that tells me is we need to get better gun training. We need to be better at this stuff than we were. But even when I came on in 2000, we have to be better at these things. This was the first shot here. Hit me dead center in my jaw. Happened right there in that northeast corner of that retention pond. So I felt the heavy impact to my face. I didn't hear the shot. I didn't see the gun. I can't say that I didn't see the muzzle flash. I don't know if it was the muzzle flash or just, when you get punched in the face, you see stars. So I don't know what it was, but I felt it and I started falling down to my left and rolling down that embankment. And I felt like a big punch. I thought he caught me with just a haymaker. And in my mind, I was just thinking, Jared, get up, get up, get up. He caught you with a good punch. Get up, get up, get up. Well, by the time I came to rest and kind of shook off the cobwebs a little bit, I could feel with my tongue that my jaw is now collapsed on top of itself and my teeth are laying horizontal in my mouth. So I knew something else is going on. And I kind of look up and see him, and he's standing over top of me shooting me. I had that it angered me. It did anger me, but it didn't send me like into a blind rage. It's a difference. Like it was like he cheated me. Like, oh, well, shit. I thought we were fist fighting. You're gonna, I got something I didn't know we were gun fighting. All right, here we go. And that's the kind of, I felt cheated. And then it kicked in my will to win. When I was shaking off the cobwebs and kind of getting oriented towards him, he would stand up there and he was shooting me, and then he started walking away from me. And when I say walking away, that's exactly what he did. He just turned around and walked, and he would look back at me, and he would shoot at me. Like every time I moved, he would shoot. But when I sat up to draw my pistol, that big motion of me sitting up, he saw that because I think he thought I was dead, and he was coming, and then he was coming back on me, trying to put me down. So I drew my pistol, started engaging him from my back, from right here, pushing off the ground, trying to get to my feet. So I only made it to my knees, and when I made it to my knees, I recognized the pain in my leg and the pain in my butt. It wasn't excruciating, it wasn't anything, it was just something that I kind of felt that it was like a little tight, like it was gonna be tough to get to my feet. So I stayed on my knees and kept engaging him, strong hand only. And I knew I was hitting him because he was giving me a little bit of body motion, but he continued to come and he continued to shoot. The human body is really unimpressed with bullets. Unless you're hitting vital organs, your body doesn't care. And you'll have time that even if you're hitting vital organs, you have 4 or 5 seconds that you can keep pushing and do it. And that's what he did. So if you are in a shooting and they continue to come, because that was like something that rung true it rang in my head, bad guys will continue to do what you were doing prior to you shooting them until they give up or you put their lights out. That's it. The bullet's not going to do anything crazy and incapacitate their arm or blow their arms off or any of that stuff. You're not going to see really anything. It's not that bloody at the time. It's not really anything. It's not that loud. You're not going to send rounds past their head and scare them to put their head down. That's not how it goes. I've been around shootings where a dude would take one through the calf and he'd cry and gave up like a baby. And I've been around a lot of shootings where dudes took a lot of bullets and a lot of punishment and they kept coming. This gunfight went from contact to 10 yards back to contact in 5 to 6 seconds. I fired 14 rounds, he fired 12 rounds. Very fast, very violent. This is where you have to have violence on speed dial up at the front. And you only get it through training. I call it flipping your switch. I don't remember drawing my pistol or anything. I knew I had to get to it, but the first thing I remember from this thing is punching the gun out and picking up my front sight and driving it onto his torso. As soon as that front sight came in, I was really focused on the front sight. I started giving it to him. So front sight, rear sight, somewhere in the same zip code, all that on the torso, I started giving it to him. Because that's an appropriate sight picture for what the target I was shooting. And that's just through training, knowing what sight picture can do what, how much work I can do with, and how much I need to clean up those sights. That's where the speed comes from. And I never had a perfect sight picture, but again, I had the acceptable. And again, I saw the suspect reacting to the hits. Not like you would think. Not like it was a big blood squirting out or anything like that. Only thing I got from him was he was driving straight on me, and then I started pushing him off from my left to the right, and he started showing me his back, kind of like that, and still trying to shoot me. That's what you're looking for. When you're in a shooting, if you're making him change what he was doing, you're doing good things, keep it up, and it'll be over soon, but just start it. So this is his head will be up here. This is back, this is his spine. 2 hits right there in between his shoulder blades. So that's center mass right next to his spine. Those are showstoppers, right? That's what we all learned. Wrong. Bullets do funny things when they hit meat. Don't ever trust where it hit or what it's doing, because just different little angles and hitting meat, bullets do funny things. Exit wound right here on his trap. Entry wound, entry wound. When I made it to my knees and he was closing in on me, continuing to shoot, continuing to do what he was doing, he got so close to me and I wanted this thing to end. So I lunged up, grabbed him, pulled him to me. So his head's right here and now I got his back. And as I pulled him to me, I started falling backwards. And as soon as I fell backwards, I put my muzzle to his head and I gave him 3 contact shots to his head, ending the fight and being done with it. What happened was, when we went over, he still had life in him, and I put that round in the back of his head, and it dumped him over then, and then I just sailed those past his face because I didn't reacquire my thing on him, and he just dropped out of the way. So if you ever headshot somebody, it looks like they dodged the bullet. I mean, when I headshot, I was like, holy cow, that guy just dodged my bullet. He knew when I was, but that bullet hit him and shut him out like that. Exit wound, exit wound. You can see we shoot Federal Ranger SXTs, 180 grain. See, the bullet opened up, did exactly what it was supposed to do. Nice star pattern, everything it was supposed to do. But again, it's a pistol bullet. It's not a death ray. It's not anything like that. So you really got to make your rounds count with a pistol. This is my pistol here. It was a Glock 22. It's a 40 cal. Like I said, we shoot 180 grain Ranger SXTs. I fired 14 rounds that night. That gun carries 16 rounds. I am a huge capacity person. A good workable caliber with capacity. If I would have had like a single stack 1911 or a single stack gun at that point, I would have had to reload into there somewhere. And that reload probably would have cost me my life. It's 4 to 6 seconds of a gunfight, and I'm a pretty good reloader, and I can do it under 2 seconds, but that's like almost 50% of the damn gunfight itself. I would have wasted reloading. So keeping up the fight and keeping that gun going is a big deal. The only thing wrong with this gun is a lot. The only thing wrong with me is I carried that gun when I trained BLE students and shot at the range with new recruits, because it had plastic sights on it, it had zero grip work, it had zero anything to do with fighting. The gun that I carried when I was off duty was more prepared for a fight than that duty gun was ever. And because I carried it when I trained BLE, and I trained it when I worked off, or carried it when I worked off duty, because nothing happens off duty, right? That's my fault. None of my guns look like this anymore. At a minimum, on a duty gun, you need some sort of enhanced grip work, like grip tape or something like that, and metal sights, at a minimum. Then trinium on top of those metal sights helps out a little bit so you're shooting at night. One good thing that I did have was this light on my gun though. I did not use it in the traditional sense of like I needed light, there were street lights, that worked. But what it did do is it gave me about 1/4 of an inch standoff from the end of that muzzle. So when I put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger, the gun worked because it didn't knock it out of battery. It created a little bit of standoff. So it did not its primary function, but a function that it is known for doing, and it is a great gun, or a great addition to your gun. So, talk about the coroner's report. Every one of my hits on him hit head or torso, which are great scoring hits in any police thing, right? That's not the best for ending fights. So, F punched in right here on his side, went through his stomach, right through his intestines and his liver and his kidney, tore him up pretty good on the inside. If this was the OK Corral, he probably would have died a couple days later from dysentery, but with modern day medicine, that was not a fatal wound. G hit right here on his arm, hit the bone, dumped all of the energy, and then barely made it into his chest cavity, made it about 1 inch into his chest cavity, causing no damage. D and E, because of the way he was showing me his back and kind of curling, and I'm shooting up at him, D, which is closest to the spine, which you would thought would have done good work, punched in, hit his shoulder blade, traversed up, and then exited out of his trap. That was the only round, except for the ones that went through his face, that exited the body. That was a pure meat hit. No structural damage to the skull, the skeleton, the bones, the skeleton, nothing deformed there. It just went through, pure meat hit. Your body can take a lot of meat hits. E did what it was supposed to do. E punched in a little bit left of that bullet, went through his ribs, through his lungs, and traversed up into his neck, severed the artery in his neck. He was dead right there. That's one of those wounds that, like the doctors say, if you cut that artery on the operating table, they're not going to save your life. You're going to bleed out. So with that wound, he was dead. But again, he has 4 to 5 seconds of oxygen still left in his brain. And he chose to spend the rest of his life fighting. I kind of take that from him. I'm going to fight till the lights go out. You know, and that's what you should do, and that's how you should take it. I'm never going to know if I lose a gunfight, because I'm just going to fight till the lights go out. And then it's just an easier, less of a panic of a death. You just sit there and be in it. A, definitely a fatal wound, punched in the back of his head, lodged right there at the front of his head. That's the one that turned the switch off. So both E and A were fatal wounds. That's the difference between pumpers and switches. With E, he was able to make it to me, continue to shoot, me lunge up, grab him, pull him to me, then put A in the back of his head, which shut him down so quickly that by the time the number 2 round came through, his head dumped, and he was that's how quick he was dead that way. So that's the difference in pumpers and switches. I'm not saying to be a head chaser. Don't chase headshots. But when it has to happen, like that's the difference. So when you hit somebody in the heart, don't expect them to go away right away. Give them something. You started the death clock. They're dead. But now give them something to think about for the rest of their life. B and C, punched in the left side of his head or his face, exited out the other side. Both massive facial damage. Neither one of those were fatal. So with saying that, when we're on the range and you're doing stuff in training, you need to train yourself on where to shoot people in the face, and don't accept like low in the face and low in the jaws. People think that getting shot shuts people down. I can't say this enough. I'm going to say it several times. Getting shot does not hurt. It hurts about 10 minutes later when like the adrenaline starts coming off and things like that. The act of it doesn't hurt. So on my department right now, one of them is one of my best friends and another one is another friend of mine. 3 of us have been shot in the face. 3 of us are shot in the jaw. 2 of us returned fire and killed the guy. The other one returned fire and wounded him gravely. But I mean, he lived. But if we can take getting shot in the face and live, bad guys can take getting shot. And I took this shot and returned and killed him. So that's what I'm saying. So on the range, what we're looking for is underneath the eyebrows to the top of the top lip right there. And take that like he had a sweatband on all the way around. So if he's facing away, aim for the ears. If he's behind you, aim for the little knot in the back of their head. Those are the things you want to do to shut somebody down. And that's where you want to train, and don't accept anything else on the range when nobody's shooting back at you. Me, the war on terror, one of the best things that's brought back to domestic law enforcement is self-aid, buddy aid, with the use of tourniquets and quick clot and the self-med stuff. That's great. And how it worked for us is during those classes, we've all took them, like they're like, hey, you got to start rubbing them down to make sure that they don't have any exit wounds or whatever, or bullet holes. And you're thinking like, whatever, if they're shot, you're going to know where you're shot. You don't know where you were shot. I knew I was shot in my leg, but I didn't have, it doesn't hurt in a certain spot or whatever. Like your whole leg just kind of aches. It wasn't that, or my leg just kind of ached. So while he was doing it, he started running his hands down my legs, and he sunk his thumb about that deep into my exit wound on my thigh. So by him snatching it away, because he was gross and the look on his face, we knew, and the pain, I was like, that one hurt. We knew where that exit wound was, and he was able to apply pressure and keep things going. And that to me really, really helped. It wasn't like a femoral and spitting out blood, but it was kind of hidden in my dark blue uniform. So him finding it was a good thing, and it was only through training. So this was me coming up, what he came up on. Bullet hole, center of the jaw, exit wound out of the neck. Close up of the neck. Bullet punched in about right here, like almost dead center. Split the jaw down the entire center and then demolished the left side of it. It took 3 teeth with it that night, and all out of the exit wound. Here's my thigh, entry wound, exit wound. That's the one that his thumb went in there. This is a close-up of my rib cage. That is what a shot looks like that gets stopped by soft armor. That's it. That's how it looks. That shot right there is probably more of a burn than it is anything else. And I think I could have minimized that damage by what shirt I was wearing. Now when I'm in a uniform and things, I'll wear a more impact resistant shirt. At the time, I used to wear wife beater tank tops, like a cotton tank top as my undershirt. Well, when I hold that tank top up today, that triangle shape right there is punched right out of it. That exact shape. And I just thought it was weird that it ripped my shirt in that shape. It didn't rip the shirt. When it hit, it pushed all those cotton fibers into my body. And that's what created like a burn of going in there so fast. So when I was in wound rehab for months, every other day they'd have to debride it with like a nail brush kind of thing and brush it. And they'd keep brushing it, and then they'd see something, and with tweezers they'd pull out a string. Like my body would exude that stuff over months. And so I think it'd be more minimalistic or minimize that wound with something else. But that's a wound that hit soft armor. I got hit dead center of my chest in my trauma plate, in the pistol rated trauma plate of my vest. Didn't leave a red mark, didn't leave a bruise, didn't leave any indication that I was shot there. So that's how important those tiny plates are. This is the uniform I was wearing that night. You can see the phrase out here and on the lapel. The crazy thing is the bullet that exited out didn't fragment very much. The jacket didn't come off very much of the bullet. What did all that damage was my teeth and the bone that came out through it. I actually still have like teeth particles and bone embedded in that front panel of my body armor. This is my trauma plate here. You can see the hit here, see the hit here. I double stacked my trauma plate. The only reason I did that, it was not some tactical genius thing. It was they issued me 2 trauma plates when I got my vest. And there's a soft and a hard. People like to ask me, well, why'd you put the hard on top of the soft? Because I put the soft on top of the hard to catch frag and all that, which makes a lot of sense or whatever. But why I put the hard on top of the soft was because when I like to hit my chest and feel something hard. So nothing great, but that's just kind of, that was my reasoning behind it. And it worked. So here's the side view of it. You can see how much energy that plate took. And even on that second trauma plate right there. This is my vest. This is the front panel. This is the one that hit my ribs. That's the bullet right there. It went through that strap, hit my ribs right there in the overlap. This is the shoulder hit that hit up here. So prior to NIJ 06 standards, body armor was not rated an inch from the seams. So what that meant was if bullets hit close to the seams, because how body armor works, it kind of traps the bullet. When it hits near the seams, it normally will kind of cave it in, change the trajectory of the bullet, but still let the bullet penetrate. So this piece of armor took 3 rounds to the same front panel, 2 of the rounds an inch from the seams, and it stopped every bullet. And that's through just the quality control and how good Safariland vests are. And they're just really, really top of the line stuff. And you can see how that came in and hit that side right there. And that's the one that hit the trauma plate right there. This is the bullet that hit my ribs. This is the one that went through my face and then hit my shoulder. And it was all trapped right there in the carrier of my armor. Physically, I'm good. I'm not 100%. I don't have any feeling in my face from my bottom lip down. I have like a goatee of numbness. It just destroyed the nerve that runs down my jaw. I don't have any, it took 3 teeth in, but I had to get all my teeth pulled from the other side. They were just too loose and they wouldn't stiffen back up. So I have fake teeth all the way back. I have pain in my left leg. I have pain in my butt. I have pain in my hips. But that's just life. You know what I mean? I'm here. I'm happy. I laugh. I see my boys. I have another son since that happened. You know, I live life. I'm happy for what I have. I'm happy for the pain. I'm happy for the numbness because I'm here. But I have had years of surgery and years of rehab. But that's fine. That's the price I'm going to pay for the happiness that I feel. And I'm good with it. So if you take a bone hit, that's the road that you're looking for. You know, the meat hits like my leg, like I could have been good soon, but the bone hit on my jaw and things, I had, you know, probably 14, 15 surgeries on that, fixing my teeth, fixing all that stuff. That part is a long, tedious thing, but you just got to roll with the punches and go with it. So if you take a bone hit, it's going to be a long time. But you got to continue your physical training. Physical training for me, it got me to the fight. It helped me in the physical fight with them. I truly believe it helped me take some of the rounds, like when it punched into my leg and things like that. It punched into meat. It didn't punch into like a jelly leg. It hit some meat. Helped me return fire by keeping my heart rate down and not letting me get totally sucked in. And then it helped me recover. So I was back to work 6 months after this incident happened, back on the SWAT team, back full duty. I got back to work and then I would have to get another surgery and I'd be out for a couple months. Altogether, I was out over a year, over like a 4-year period, 5-year period. This is our brass here. This is his and this is mine. I do that to illustrate law enforcement shootings and how close they are. Killing somebody is killing somebody, but doing it up close and personal is a little different. Nothing against but unless you were in like a specialized unit where you're room clearing and things like that in the military, like a close quarter battle shooting doesn't happen very often. And it's different because of what you see and what you see reacting to things. And also, soldiers, you know, shoot a guy at 200 yards in a man dress holding an AK speaking a different language. You can dehumanize that. You know, you can sit there and, you know, just kind of and dehumanize. It's hard to dehumanize an American citizen. You know, they dress like you, they sound like you, they talk to you, they remind you of somebody you know. It's hard to do. But the job still needs to be done. Some people in America need to be killed. That's it. But preparing yourself on this side of the shooting helps you on the other side of the shooting. People always talk to me about, you know, how do you sleep? Do you have nightmares and things like that? I don't. And I'm not saying that I'm better or worse than anybody else in this job, but I feel worse about the dogs I've killed in the line of duty than any of the people I've shot. Because the dog's just being a dog, and people ask for it. We're not out murdering people. They did something that the law or your safety requires them to be shot for. Shoot them. That's just the nature of the beast. So, some people have a really hard time with that, and they can't deal with it. That's fine. I'm not better or worse than you, but prepare for this stuff at the beginning, because what I feel talking to people, what really bothers them most of all is what happened, like looking at somebody or the sounds they heard when you did it. Because you're going to hear them scream sometimes. You'll hear them talk. You'll hear the death gurgles. You'll smell the blood. That's the stuff that sticks with you. But prepare yourself to smell it and prepare yourself to do it. Prepare yourself to look at somebody in the eyes and take the light from them. Because they're going to take yours. There's no doubt when you're in a gunfight or you are in a fight for your life, they're there to kill you. They're not there to do anything else. So you need to take theirs and win that.